At some point in the beginning of March, did you and Michelle separate?
Yes.
Did you remain in the home after your separation?
No, I left.
As part of your marital property, did you and Michelle own any vehicles?
We owned 2 vehicles. One was a 2004 four-door Cadillac Silver and one F-150 2006 four-door maroon pickup.
After your separation, was there a particular vehicle you drove and a particular vehicle that Michelle drove?
Michelle drove the 2004 Cadillac and I drove the 2006 F-150.
Mr. Boat, did you know Tracy Mondabough?
Yes.
How did you meet Tracy?
We met on Facebook.
Sometime after your separation from Michelle Boat, did you and Tracy move in together?
We did.
Did you know Tracy to wear a particular distinctive piece of jewelry?
She always wore chokers.
At some point later that afternoon, did you see Tracy Mondabough again?
Yes, she brought me supper.
Where did you eat your supper?
In the parking lot in the pickup.
Was it just you and Tracy?
Yes.
Was this a special occasion, or is this something that you would typically do?
It was typically what we did. She would come and bring me lunch.
Any particular reason?
So we could spend time together.
What did you do after you left Tracy?
I kissed her goodbye, and as I was walking back into the building, I waved to her and then went back into work.
Is that the last time that you saw Tracy Mondabough alive?
Yes.
It's not just about his testimony. It's also about the reaction of Michelle Boat inside that courtroom. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who's in Knoxville, Iowa tonight. Chanley, so there's 2 things I think that the jury's got to pay attention to during this testimony. It's not just the words of Nick Boat, but it's also the reaction of Michelle Boat inside that courtroom.
Yeah, and they have an up-close view of her. It's not a large courtroom, and it's really unique in how it's set up. There's not even room for anyone, not family, and there's not a gallery, no media. It's just the jury spread out, and they have Michelle Boat there with all the attorneys. On the other side, that's where the witness would be. That's where Nick Boat sat, right across from her in the courtroom. And really, Vinny, all day long, she showed emotion, even before opening statements, as the judge was just reading instructions to the jury before opening. She started tearing up and crying, and it was sort of a consistent thing, but it really got bad right when her estranged husband left the witness stand. She was inconsolable to the point that the judge had to take a break and called a break, let the jurors leave the courtroom so she could compose herself. It's interesting that, you know, this jury is witnessing all this, not sure what they think about it, but this is a lot. It's heavy inside the courtroom. And Vinny, I was across the hall in a room, an overflow room, if you will. If you want to go watch the trial, you can watch it in this room. And there were some family members of Tracy Mondabough within this overflow room, also tearful throughout the day, watching the testimony and just knowing why they're there.
Things are moving very quickly, but let's focus on this relationship that Nick had with Tracy, the timeline of that versus the timeline of the marriage. What's the final picture that is being painted for this jury? Is it that Nick Boat left her for another woman, or they split up and then he met someone else? How is that playing out?
You know, we listen to opening statements and we hear the version that the prosecution is giving about that this was a marriage that, first they started with just Tracy Mondabough, which they set the scene for everyone, but that this was a woman scorned, she was obsessed, she was seething over the fact that her husband had a new girlfriend. But it really became clearer in the fact that the defense said, look back, this isn't just about May 18th, but this is about the past 69 days before May 18th. When her husband moved out. She was away at work, had no idea, comes home from work and he's no longer there. This is right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's something that she was struggling with. And then on the stand, we learned from Nick Boat that he met Tracy Mondabough on Facebook. And it's interesting, the wording that the defense attorney used on cross-examination was, "When did you start the affair?" That's the first time we really heard that word, and he didn't object to it. He just said, "Oh, early March was when I began talking to Tracy Mondabough, and that began, and we moved in together." So it's a pretty clear picture that he had moved on with a new woman and that Michelle Boat just couldn't handle it.
Now, I want to go back to the opening statement by the defense, because it was something that you don't hear every day from defense attorneys. Let's take a listen.
I'm going to tell you right now, standing right here, before you have heard any evidence in this case, I will stand here and I will tell you that Michelle Boat is responsible. Michelle Boat is the one who had the knife on May 18th, and Michelle Boat is the one that stabbed her. Now, the only thing even remotely Perry Mason-like about that, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that I'm standing here right now, 20 minutes into this trial, and I'm telling you that. But it's important that you know this isn't a whodunit. It's not a whodunit. The police got the right person. We will ask you to hold her responsible. We will ask you to make her account for what happened on May 18th, 2020. But the state will not have met its burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that what happened on May 18th, 2020 was first-degree murder. It was not. The evidence will not support that. But we will stand in front of you and ask that you hold her accountable. But only for what the evidence supports, ladies and gentlemen. And that is not first-degree murder. Instead, it is manslaughter.
Don't hear that every day. Again, that was not the prosecutor, that was the defense attorney. So what is the road for the defense, Chanley, to manslaughter from murder?
Well, it is a lesser included of first-degree murder here in the state of Iowa, and it's a much lesser standard and lesser punishment than only up to 10 years if the jury agrees that this wasn't premeditated or a calculated murder, that it was a sudden passion, that it was a provocation, a serious provocation that she just couldn't resist, and no reasonable person could have resisted this sudden, irresistible passion. And there's no cooling off period. There wouldn't be a time that, a length of time where she would have to collect her thoughts and overcome that provocation. It'd have to be an immediate reaction. And a lot of times you do see this in a spouse that comes home and catches their wife or husband cheating on them in the act, and they immediately take action. That would usually be this scenario. So it's interesting that the defense attorney in her opening didn't describe the law, didn't read the law to the jurors to try to set that stage, but I did notice on the cross-examination of one of the eyewitnesses, they tried to describe, the demeanor of the woman outside the truck as angry and passionate, and maybe that's where they're going, but we probably can expect in closing that they'll bring that back around and hope that they can convince them that this wasn't something that she had planned to do, and possibly maybe even Michelle Boat taking the stand and explaining it herself.
I think that's the only way you're going to get there, because, you've got all this stuff. You've got to bring a weapon. You've got to bring weren't there some rubber gloves, and then what you're doing afterwards. None of that really screams sudden passion. And you cited the classic example that we all get in law school, which is, the husband or wife comes home and finds their spouse in bed with someone else and kills one or both of them. And then they claim that is what sudden passion is. This is 69 days, right?
It is, and that was clear. There was actually a calendar before the jury showing her marking a calendar in her home. It was 69 days that he was gone, and this is plenty of time. Not only that, Vinny, the
That's
days
almost
that
like
went
the
by, but also-
opposite. You know, as I think about it, it's almost the opposite of sudden passion. Sudden passion, this is like a building up that's fermenting and building and building and building until finally she takes action. But that's just the prosecutor in me. You know what? They may rely perhaps on Daniel Rumberg, one of the eyewitnesses. Let's take a listen to what he observed and what he heard.
The statement sounded as they were saying, he doesn't belong to you, he's mine, he doesn't belong to you, several times. That was the most I could make of anything.
Mr. Rumberg, what did you do next?
I turned around and went back inside, deciding that I did not want to get involved in two girls' fight over whatever the fight was about.
All right, so he's mine. I mean, maybe the defense says there was some argument and that's what set her off. I mean, to me, that's the only way, perhaps based on the evidence that we have so far, that you could even make an argument for that sudden passion.
That's a good point, but she did, however, carry allegedly a knife to the confrontation to have a discussion. If it was just supposed to be a discussion about he's mine, he belongs to me, he's not yours, and had some gloves on her hands apparently. We're going to hear evidence about we already heard the tip of the glove was found outside the car. There's going to be an expert tomorrow about how they pieced that together and matched them to the gloves that were in her car and in her home. So, but the defense may try to go there just to meet that sudden passion standard.
Yeah, again, it's like I can see the defense just scrambling, trying to put something together. Let's listen to another eyewitness who saw a lot of what happened.
Would you please describe to the jury in further detail what you saw and heard?
I heard a horn honk, and I could see two people, one person in the driver's seat of the truck and another person on the outside of the driver's door of the truck fighting. The person on the outside of the truck, I could see what I thought was punching into the truck, and I could see the person that was in the driver's seat of the truck's upper torso coming over into the passenger seat of the truck, and it went back and forth. So every time there was like a punch, or I could see the upper torso coming over to the passenger side of the truck and then coming back up and then back down, up and down.
At some point, did you see either of the people that you described earlier move away from the vehicle?
I did. I saw the person that had been standing on the outside of the truck come to behind the truck, and I saw them take their hand and push their hair up off of their forehead, and their hair stood up with blood, and then their face was all bloody.
Wow, that is powerful, powerful testimony describing that scene. And the victim in this case, was she in her car the whole time? How exactly was this back and forth going?
Yeah, she didn't even have time to unbuckle her seatbelt, Vinny, and that's what the prosecutor said in opening, that she arrived home at her apartment unknowingly followed by a hunter who was armed and prepared and angry, very angry, and pulled up behind her. And Tracy Mondabough never left the driver's seat, and the door wasn't open, according to what one of the witnesses saw. And this attack happened, and she never left the seat. It's very unfortunate, and it's just sad that that's what the jury had to see today. And
at the end of the day, that's an important fact. That doesn't paint a picture of a fair fight at all. I mean, someone is strapped in their car. They are a victim. Strong day for prosecutors, absolutely. Chanley Painter in Knoxville, Iowa tonight. Thank you so much, Chanley.
Thanks, Minnie.
All right, when we come back, more big news. Last night we reported the arrest of Barry Morphew, the husband of Suzanne Morphew, the mom from Colorado, who went missing last Mother's Day. Well, he made his first appearance in court. You'll see it next.